Colston Street. Oh yeah. And which Colston Street was part Oh, I can't do this now.
Alright, I turn it off. Tell me your name. What is your name? Is your name Atticus? Is your name Arthur?
No.
Is your name Bob?
No.
Is it Atticus?
No.
Is it Abacus? Or is it Atticus? It's Atticus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool name. Chip.
Chip, I thought you said Chip too. I thought he was going to say the other name, because didn't he rename it? What's it called now?
And jump over the gate, okay?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I jump over the gate.
she's here.
Okay, so who's here?
This is Elizabeth Wilson, Nee Harrison, and she is your 3 times great grandmother.
Oh, great.
So she's Atticus's 5th times great grandmother.
See, this is why we need
She came
for the little
over
crosses and get Michael to
in her
engrave them.
40s with a husband and 2 children, and this is where she lives.
When did she pass?
1901,
And how old was she when she passed?
76.
Wow, imagine being 76.
And she came over from Scotland.
No, England.
From England.
From England. And these guys are pure England, as in London, England. A lot of people say, have said to me, that's like the pure England because it's the middle of England. So that's where they came from. And yeah, so I've got more information on here, but this is where she lies. Her daughter is here too, with her husband. This was our granddad's father's mother. So this is our granddad's mum. So this is our granddad, so mum, there's you, then there's mum, then there's Arthur,
Speak on the grave,
who's the son of Frederick, who's the son of Alfred, who's the son of Jane.
And Jane is here.
And Jane is here. And Jane and her husband came with Alfred. This is Jane. Mum's father is Arthur. Arthur's father is Frederick. Frederick's father is Alfred.
Atticus, off the grave, please.
Alfred's mother is Elizabeth. And they came from England, directly from England. With their son, Alfred, age 15, and daughter, Jane Elizabeth, age 21. She's over there, married with her husband. And at the Elizabeth was born in 1827 in England. She died here in Christchurch on the 2nd of December 1901. She is Atticus's 5 times great grandmother. She is 6 times great grandmother. She is our 4 times great grandmother. She is the daughter. So mum, and then there's Arthur, then there's Frederick, Alfred, and then Elizabeth. And they came over to New Zealand in their 40s with their children, Alfred and Jane. And they arrived here 1873 on a ship called Punjab. Her father, at the moment, all I know is her father is named George. So 1901. Yeah. So should we take photos?
Yeah.
Come on then. So we've just brought another ancestor back to us.
Yeah.
And this ancestor, if she and her husband hadn't have left England without to be ancestor, this line wouldn't have been here. But
No.
Oh yeah?
No.
Uh-huh.
No, because
Come and say hello. So we won't stay long. We've promised just 5 minutes, but we just wanted to come and say hello. Because,
Lovely.
this is a nice little place you've got here, Nola.
Oh well.
It's lovely. Oh, I remember that in your old house. Yeah.
What's that?
That little flower, the thing with the flowers in it.
how have you been?
Oh, up and down, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you keeping for the majority? Keeping well?
Oh well, yeah, you got
Yeah,
to, you got
yeah.
to really.
Just keeping
Yeah.
on your feet as
Yeah.
much as you can. You're looking really well.
Oh well, as I say, up and down.
Up and
you know,
down,
yeah.
yeah, but it's expected. We get to a certain time in our life,
And
and
do these
yeah,
things. Yes. Ah.
and how's all the family? They doing well?
Yes, I suppose so.
Yeah.
Don't see them very much these days, sort
Oh,
of style, you know.
They're all over the place, all busy. And
That's right,
yeah.
yes, yes.
You've hit that age where they just have all these busy lives.
Yeah,
that
there's so many places in that to go now,
Yeah,
you know, sort of style.
And I've put them on my wall.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
You were going
Yep.
to do something,
Yep.
put them up somewhere.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
No,
You
so
did.
I've got a big, I got a big photo frame, and I've
Yeah.
put all the pictures up. So like Auntie Annie with Dad, you showed me a photo of Auntie Annie
Oh,
and Dad,
goodness
and
me.
yeah. So they're all up on the wall, and when Stephen came over last.
That's when your husband was working in the railway yards, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't actually working there.
Oh, he never did.
No.
Oh, well, that's
He worked
my
at the
memory.
he worked at the shoe factories.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
But,
Yeah,
but,
cool. Yeah, you had a cool house.
Lovely people, kind of people I can share good news with. Hey, listen, I have some really good news, and
There's Auntie Nola looking out the window.
oh boy, I'm not good at keeping secrets. When I have good news, I want to tell people, and so but I'm trying to drag it out. You lady right there, yeah. I want you to guess. Just stand up, yeah. Guess what it is. Are you coming out of straight?
You wait, this is a great Auntie Nola.
No. Oh, I'm guessing.
Oh, good morning. It's really nice. Oh, right, no, you're not having the papers, darling. No.
That's a good idea.
No, that's not yours. No. You're not having the junk mail. No, it's fine. We're not having. We'll get some more junk mail later. Okay? Well, only if you don't want one of them, is there? Like, heavy hitters is one. It's fine. You have to be the one. There we go. So thank you.
Took the food one, mate. It's good.
You're like, oh, there's boxes.
I'm trying to say that my people have been missing the 3 seasons. We've had so much fun. Here's some welcome to my gaming
There you go. You got a gift from Auntie Nola.
show that went on spring break and drank too much tequila.
Look after yourself. Thank you. Bye.
Is this someone we've seen before or not? Doing that way?
We found. I'm sure.
Or is it slightly to the left?
See, the problem is, I thought these guys were in Linwood. Plot 26. See how this is not. Hang on. To find, I think we have to go over here.
This one here.
Here's 115. It's here.
What was that again?
Mary Ann and William.
Oh, they're both in
Grandma. Our Nana's parents.
Well done. It's the 22nd of February 2020, and tell us whose gravesite you've found today.
William Swords and Mary Ann Nee Campbell Swords. So these are Nana's mum and dad. So William died in 1922, and just as a little bit of side info, which you may be interested in, they walked from the Catholic cathedral he was one of the first. He was part of organising and getting that built, and they walked from there to here to bury him. And then Mary Ann, she had her funeral in Fisher Ave, which is just around the road from Mary's, in the church in St Peter's there. And she's buried here in 1953 because Dad and his family, she lived with Dad and Nana when she was in her older age, and they lived in Summerfield. And they lived in Studholme Street. And so the local church that she went to, because she was very religious, she always had her rosary beads with her all the time. And so, yeah, so she had her funeral service there, and then they came here and buried her. So it's very exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for helping me find it. So, yeah. And something that's a little bit sad though, so would you like to sit and have a selfie? Well, we've done it before.
Yeah, it was our thing from yesterday.
And we did it. We did it. Two times great-grandparent.
Oh, and great.
So Julie, we're here at whose gravesite?
Richard Henry Keats and Julia Keats, formerly known as Julia Sow. And her parents came over on the Randolph.
That was one of the first four ships into New Zealand, was it?
Into New Zealand.
And in what relationship line do they have for us?
So they're with Mum on Mum's side. Mum's mother, it's her grandparents. So Mum's...
Is it the one that's in the square? In the square, and there's a plaque because of the Randolph. Was it not them?
Okay. So Julia, it's her father that's in the plaque in the square. Her parents.
Yeah, and that's named Archibald.
Also, William is there because William is her brother, and her brother.
So these are our great-great-grandparents.
Yeah. So these are the parents of the grandparents. Also, the parents of Delise Keats, who is the mother of our grandmother Julia, who is the mother of Mum, who is our mum.
So our grandmother's name was Julia.
Yep.
And her grandmother's name was Julia.
Correct.
Who's this person here?
Yes, and
Julia
that's who I'm named after.
Keats.
Although
You're
my
named
name's
after
Julie.
this lady here.
So our grandmother called herself Julie as well, rather than Julia, and that would have been to have done the separation of the two, and so that's where I'm named after.
And Mum's middle name is Julie.
Yes, Mum's middle name is also Julie, which is also named after her. So that's how that name came through.
Actually, you've stopped the line then.
Well, I guess... Yeah, both their fathers, Julia and Richard's fathers, were both named George Keats, George Sow. They both lived in Oxford as farmers, and that's how they came together. And in Oxford, the township was separated by an unofficial line by religion. So one side was the Catholic side and one side was the Church of England side, and we're the Church of England side. And so these guys got married, and in the church they actually got married in, a few years later there was a big storm that came through and blew the church over. So the church that is there now is not the church they actually married in. But yeah, that's how they met. She's an only child, and it's really interesting on Mum's side. A lot of Mum is an only child, Grandma is an only child. Grandma's mother was not an only child, but she was the youngest child and only had the one child. And then Julia, she had a number of children herself, but she was originally an only child as well. So like Mum, who was an only child, she had a number of children herself. So I always find, I don't know, these little patterns I find quite interesting. So yeah, but so they met in Oxford. They had land in Oxford, and then they moved to Christchurch, because at the time, as you can tell, when they passed in 1925 and 1935, Christchurch was really becoming quite a big city. And as Mary pointed out before, the hills were a really prominent part for this cemetery. And as you can see, this area, this end, is the Church of England end, whereas where we've just been prior is the Catholic end.
So they would have walked over the bridle path.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And so Julia Keats, her parents, her mother actually died exactly 10 years after they arrived here. She's buried in Barbados Cemetery, but we've yet to locate her cemetery, her cemetery plot, purely because back then we know it's there, but unfortunately there's a massive amount of just bare land now because it's just too people didn't, I don't know. Barbados Street Cemetery is one of the oldest, and so unfortunately she is there, but the large areas of just grassland is where she will be where she is with a lot of other people. But George Keats, her father, George Sow, her father, he's actually buried in Oxford along with Richard Keats' father as well. They too, unfortunately, are in unmarked graves. However, the children, the siblings, many of the children of Richard and Julia, they are actually in Oxford, and I believe that I'm still locating, but there will be some lines that are probably still in Oxford.
So it's pretty ironic that we moved and lived to Oxford for a little bit, isn't it?
Very much so, yeah. This line is actually here in Canterbury and up in Taranaki, and it's really quite fascinating when you track them. They moved between here, and can you imagine in the early 1900s going up to Taranaki?
So if they had 15 children,
this couple had 15 children.
This couple had 15.
Yeah.
So we've definitely got in New Zealand, knowing that our grandma was a single child, there has to be.
She has many cousins and things. She actually spent some of her childhood in Taranaki, and a cousin that I've made contact with in Taranaki, I keep wanting to make time to go and visit her. She's in her 70s, and she's the daughter of one of the children from this line as well.
Wow.
So they're cousins of cousins. So she has been extremely helpful in helping me find these guys here. She remembers our grandmother because she spent time with her as a child herself. So she was a child.
I find it interesting that Julia passed on before Richard, which is a little unusual in them days, isn't it?
Oh, it depends. It really does depend.
We don't know how she died?
I do know how she died. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but I've got her death certificate.
It wasn't during childbirth or anything?
No, she didn't die during childbirth, but keep in mind that she had had a number of children, and so quite often...
She was only 70, wasn't she?
It is unusual. I get your point. It is unusual, but at the same time